Hello there, Yellowstone 7 here again. In my previous two videos, I've shown you how to put together an outing, and now it's working. We are still in cheetah mode here. Let's have a look at the outing. By default, the RWFF fly fishing software give you 5 little brown trout to start with. So now it's time to customize it to your location and so you can have the kind of fish and the sound and everything that you have that's unique to your own outing. So let's exit the screen and we'll find the shortcut, which is Chuck's Test Outing right here. Let's open it up. We want to see this in the large icon, so we can see the folders and the pictures. So over here we have 3 files: the fish definition file, the hatch, and the outing file. Now first let me say that the outing definition file would be the last one that you want to work on, because it affects the entire outing. If you made changes there and didn't do anything else, you have to go through compilation again. So Chuck lives in the New York area, which is northern, and the water is quite cold. So let's say what kind of fish that we may find this lake up there. So right here you see we have just a basic folder containing 5 brown trout, and they're 8 to 13 inches long. So what if we want to add other fish to it? For instance, maybe some bluegills, smallmouth bass, or maybe a rainbow. So this is where we actually work with the site and add the fish that we want to the outing. Now anything with the double slash here can be deleted safely. I would advise you read it before you delete it though, so you know what they are and how to make the adjustments. So to keep things simple, I'll just delete these unneeded files so we can get right to the fish, which is right here. After you delete this one, no cruising parameters, when you compile it, the fish will be set to cruise, which is good. So we have a basic brown trout. We may want to keep that just for fun, but we want to add 3 more fish to this outing. So what I do is I highlight it, copy it, and then we'll add 3 more files where we're going to put the additional fish. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 fish that we want to use. So to get the fish into the outing so they work, what I do here is to go back into the main RWFF fly fishing folder, and you open the fish folder, which is right here. Now one thing about entering anything into this software is the typing has to be exact. The space, everything has to be exact, or it's not going to work. So we have the brown trout. Now we want to maybe add a rainbow trout. Let's add one of my favorite fish, which is the jumping rainbow that I built for these outings. So we'll find a jumping rainbow trout right here. Now what we're looking at is the name of it. It's jumping rainbow trout. It's capitalized. So what you do here in the second additional file is you delete the brown trout one and just type jumping rainbow trout, and you have a second fish. And we'll make all the other adjustments, the quantity, blah blah blah, after we added all the fish. So we want to add a smallmouth bass. Let's use another jumpings fish, because bass do jump when you hook them. Here we are. So we have a jumping smallmouth bass in our fish folder. Now we can do the same thing again. Delete this and add jumping smallmouth bass. So we have 3 fish. We need one more. Let's find the maybe a bluegill. Bluegills don't jump too much, and we'll use one of the default fish files that we have here, which is right here. So now notice I'm looking this up so I can see how it's spelled exactly in the fish folder. So just a bluegill. Delete this and put bluegill. Now we have 4 fish that we're going to be using in this outing. So now it's time to check each fish and determine what we want, the quantity and the sizes. Now in an average outing that is not too difficult, I like to use maybe anything from 12 to 15 fish in each of the scenes, depending on the amount of water that we see in the scene. If you have a lot of water, makes sense then to put a bit more fish into it. And you only have a very confined small space, then you don't need as many fish. So let's work with the brown trout here. Quantity is now set at 5. I would like to maybe have 3 brown trout. So you put in a 3 here. Activity, now this is just leave everything at default. Here, set activity. Now minimum length, I would like the fish to be a little bit bigger than 8 inches for brown trout. So let's say I'm going to use a minimum size of 15 inches. And you can set a maximum size up to the limit of the record in the clubhouse. But for this outing, I'm just going to set it to maybe 24 inches. That's a pretty good size brown trout. I'll do the same for the rainbow trout. I might want to put 3 rainbow trout, and we'll set the length at let's say 15 inches minimum and 24 inches minimum. And for the jumping smallmouth bass, well, let's have 4 here for quantity. A minimum length, let's set that at 16 inches to maybe 23 inches, which is pretty realistic. And for the bluegills, there are a lot more bluegills in relation to the other fish, so I'm going to leave it at 5, and I'm going to set the minimum length at, leave it as it is, and the maximum to maybe 15 inches. So after you do this, you determine what their preferred depth would be for the particular fish. So in a lake situation, maybe 4 feet is okay. Let's leave everything at 4 feet. You can set it from 1 to indefinite number. And this is the preferred depth of the fish within the scene. Now after you get through with that, you just click Save. Click Yes, and you have 4 fish in your new outing. Now let's open Chucks again and have another look. Now this is the hatches folder. Hatches means also food folder for the fish. So you can leave everything here if you want. You can delete it if you want to also. Now over here, here's the setting that tells the software how interested the fish are in each of these food items. You can set the number anywhere from 0, which is no interest, to maybe 50, 100, I don't know. It's fun to experiment with this one. So as you can see, there are all types of floating and swimming flies. But for our purpose, we're just going to leave everything at default right now. So This is actually where you put all your insects and food into the fish folder. So let's work with this one. Now let's delete this. Carefully not to delete anything that you need. Delete this line and this line, this line here. Oops. And this line, this line. So basically you end up with the food name, the length, the width, the hatch intensity, and the feeding intensity. So by default we have a mayfly, which is a small floating fly, and probably not likely to see in a lake situation. So but before we do any modification, let's repeat this process. We want, let's say, to have 4 different food items for this particular outing. So let's copy and paste it 4 times, so you have 4 different files to work with. So actually we do the same thing with this file as what we did with the fish. So now what you need to do is to open up the Real World Fly Fishing main folder and find a food folder. Now here you have a variety of different types of flies that you can put into the outing. Okay, well, maybe instead of mayfly 1, we want to delete that and put in an ant, which is this guy right here, black ant. So we type ant, one. What else can we put in a lake situation? Oh, okay. Probably we want to be able to see some minnows as food. So here's the Minnows folder. It's spelled without capital. It's just a simple minnow. So we do it here. Delete this line here and put minnow.